Welcome, Marisa.
Hey, hey.
So guys, here with Marisa and Mark, and we're just going to talk about Marisa's Experience Product Masterclass for one big reason. It's something that I'm a huge believer in. Now, full disclosure, I've actually not been through the Experience Product Masterclass. However, we are going through it here shortly as a team because we just believe in this so much. We did get the pretty darn close version, at least all the mechanics of it. Mark got to spend some time with Marisa and other top partners earlier this year at, where was it? At
Marisa's house.
Yeah, at her house, which is in Marina Del Rey, I think. And
Overlooking the ocean. Yeah.
It's like 50 degrees here right now, and I'm not a big fan of anybody in a warm climate. I'm grumpy for the next couple of weeks. And so they got to spend some time, and Marisa just walked through it all. We've talked about it in some of the other bonus videos. Hopefully you've seen those, but it was completely transformed our flagship course, No Product, No Problem. So I wanted to have her on just to talk about the course, talk about some of the background, some of the key concepts in it, and ultimately, dead serious, like convince you that this would be a good investment. This is not going to be a sales pitch, but I'm just going to go ahead and come out and say it that, we want you to choose to make the investment. We'll talk about her guarantee because it'll blow you away. There's literally exactly 0% risk to you. That's like insane. Anyway, we want you to check that out. So there'll be a button below this video to go actually purchase Experience Product Masterclass. We got tons of awesome bonuses. Go do that. But Marisa, tell us first of all, what the heck is an experience product?
Very, very good question. So an experience product can be a product, a program, a course, a training, even one-on-one coaching or consulting, which a lot of people don't realize. They think it has to be a training, a product, a course, but you can experientify almost anything in business. You can experientify marketing. You can apply these principles to all aspects of what you do. Now, I know that sounds big, right? Like big and unfocused, but the truth is because these 10 core experiences are working with human psychology. So when you experientify even one-on-one coaching or consulting or services, you can get people way more engaged in the process of working with you. So it's basically a totally new way of creating and marketing products that I've developed that uses secrets of the best-selling apps and games to get your customers hooked on taking massive action, getting results, and ultimately buying from you again and again. And an experience product is essentially a product that integrates the 10 core experiences in the experience formula, and it can be integrated into almost any industry. I mean, we've had so many people in different industries work with us. So it's adding the best parts of gamification, adult learning psychology, and just innovative design to create this kind of experience escalation phenomena of getting people hooked. And across the board, we've basically seen experience products consistently beat the 3% industry average success rates by at least 10-fold. So with experience products, we've been able to see completion and success rates of anywhere from 50% to as high as 92%, which is insane. And when you have that many people completing and succeeding from your program, what does that do to your back end? What does that do to your referral rate? A lot, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow. 92%. See, that's what we want.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. The money's great. I mean, when you sell a good quality course and you market it well, please do not misunderstand me. It's awesome. What we really want, though, is for people to actually succeed and take action, and then tell their friends. Of course, that's how you get long-term results. Because you can market anybody can market anything well one time, and then it will never market well again if people have a bad experience with it. So that's awesome. That's just wow, 92%. We I don't remember where we're at. We quadrupled it since applying EPM principles, but we're nowhere near 92%. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I think, Marisa, this is so, when we promoted you last year, I mean, nobody had ever heard of an experience product. How did you discover something that seems so counterculture to everything that's online learning?
Well, it's actually from my own experience as a product creator, coach, mentor to thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, because I've been in this industry since 2011. And, you may think, okay, it's 2018, 7 years, but each year in this internet marketing world is like a dog year. So that's basically, I've been in this industry for almost 50 years, according to that standard, because things happen very, very quickly,
wow.
Right? And
I'm older than 100. What? No, I'm 98. Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of wisdom and expertise on the line, right? So I just was watching and I was like, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. All the ways that I learned from my mentors and the people who are the titans in the last generation of creating products, programs, and courses just didn't work in terms of getting people results. So I just started to experiment and come from a different place of asking, well, what would it take to get people so immersed in this program that no matter how stuck they felt, no matter how beginner they might be, that they were going to get really into it and start getting results. And I just started experimenting and I looked at where do have people succeeded in captivating human attention. So I started looking at games and apps and entertainment and what they were doing. And I started borrowing things from that world and integrating it into my products. And all of a sudden, I just started to see things really, really change in terms of the response that I was getting.
Hmm. So you started seeing results.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about a little bit earlier, off camera, so to speak, was you had an info product. Kind of. I think you said it like it was sort of like EPM, but you didn't really know that and you didn't name it that. And then you have Experience Product Masterclass. Describe the difference between those two launches and those two kind of onboardings and just basically kind of that whole experience between that first product and then the product where you really had honed in on experiencifying it.
Oh my God, night and day. I think the first product that was more of a traditional course information product, it sold about $500,000 over 5 years, right? 5 years. Now, Experience product in one launch sold over $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the level of enthusiasm in terms of people raving about it, the level of testimonials. Last year, out of 500 students, I kid you not, we got 500 pages of testimonials. That doesn't mean every student submitted a page. Some people had like 5 or 10 page long testimonials. We got 500 pages of testimonials from 500 students. And so just the response is like night and day from what it was, where even though I was doing group coaching calls previously, like I do group coaching calls in the program, it's like fundamentally different where people are still posting. Like a year later, I just got something in the Facebook group saying, I didn't hit it during the 10 weeks, but I took a slower path and now I just launched my program and even half-assed it and I still hit the result,
That's
So
awesome.
1 year later, people are still saying that.
So there's something you said, also kind of, well, we may have touched on it on camera. I don't remember. Like you said earlier, everything's kind of blurring together now because we've done a few of these. You had mentioned, so with EPM, you don't have a return, like you don't have returns. It's like you don't just hand somebody all their money back. You actually do something even better, and I just think that's cool. As first of all, as a partner, we like not having returns. It's always nice, but that's not really that big of an issue. The numbers here blew me away. So to tell us kind of what this will get into like a nice sales pitch for EPM. Tell us what your return policy is, and then I want to talk about out of the $1.1 million launch last time, what that return was. It was
Yeah.
blow you away, guys.
So we've got something called the no risk guarantee. So basically, if you do the work and you go through the program and you do the assignments, basically, if you don't make $2,000 or in the 10 weeks of the course, we will make up the difference. So if you make $500, we'll give you a check for $1,500. And if you make $1,000, we'll give you a check for $1,000, right? So any which way, you're going to end up with your $2,000 back in your pocket, no matter what happens. So that was our guarantee policy because, we know that when you jump into a program, it feels like you're taking all the risk, but we want to take the risk on your behalf as well. So we do that instead of a refund because I think a refund puts people's emphasis in the wrong place. And for this to be an experienced product, people have to be all in and they have to be committed. So it's like a refund is almost like a prenup, I guess, we're getting married, but, I anticipate the fact that we're going to get a divorce. So let's actually do a prenup. So there's no risk here. And then this whole time you're like married, but at the same time, are you not? What's actually going on here?
Yeah.
So it's funny because when I got married first, I was like, I don't think this is going to really change anything. And I wasn't really the marrying type, but I got married, but it changes everything. Because no matter what's going on, if I'm having a bad day, my husband's having a bad day, if one of us is having a bad year, we've made the commitment to close the back door, the escape hatch, and say we're all in with each other.
Yeah.
And I think when our students make that commitment to say, I'm all in on this mission, I'm actually committing to designing, marketing, and making $2,000 or a whole lot more in 10 weeks or less, they've closed that escape hatch. And then the only thing left available for them to do is actually do the work, make it happen, make the money. And it's not necessarily just about making $2,000 once. It's developing the skills to be able to make $2,000 anytime you want for the rest of your life and possibly a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And so I know that by closing that escape hatch and by offering incentivizing people to take the action and by taking on some of the risk, I'm going to have way more people succeed. So last year, out of $1.1 million, we returned $22,000, and we honored every single
nothing.
guarantee request.
I mean, that's so awesome.
Yeah. And I was not being a stickler on people. I honored every single guarantee request that came in because I want to be known as someone who gives the money back.
You said something there, Mark. I don't know if you caught this, but like, it's not about the making the $2,000. You're teaching people to do the hardest thing. Like if your target audience was people who are making $100,000 and you were trying to teach them to make $200,000, that is easier than teaching somebody to make their first 2,000. I mean, at least in business, I know that is true. Like 99% of the time, the hardest. I mean, it was so hard. Like I remember the first $1,000 day we had in our business, 2005 ish, 2000, maybe 2006. And it was such a huge thing. We celebrated, like I've told this story so many times. Like we're refreshing the stats that our server. We were afraid our server was going to crash and we wouldn't hit the $1,000. And it was like this big celebration. I remember we had our first $2,000 day. I remember our first $5,000 day. I don't remember a single other milestone after that. I don't remember our first $10,000 day or $20,000 or $50,000 day. Don't remember it. Like, don't have a clue, because it was like, whatever. That was easy. Going from 5 to 50 was a piece of cake. You're teaching the hardest part. So you're spot on, because guys, if you can make $2,000 in 10 weeks, in the next 10 weeks, you could easily double or triple that. In the next 10 weeks, you could easily double or triple it again. You can start doing the math soon. That's when you're having, 6-figure quarters and so on and so forth. It's super awesome. And like 22,000 out of 1.1 million, guys, is literally might as well have been zero. That's nothing. That's simple.
And of course, you guys are all into affiliate marketing. As an affiliate, it means that my affiliates earn whatever they sell, they keep. And you can let them know the result of sharing this last year and what it meant for your business. Because when people actually submit a guarantee claim, I don't claw that back from my partners. That's on me. It's not on my partners, because I failed my students. They did not fail the buyer. I did. So I make sure that my affiliates keep everything that they sell. So no matter what happens, as long as the person pays, obviously, if they default on their payment plan, they don't get paid for default. But as long as someone pays, my affiliates keep it. And what did that look like for you last year?
I told you this earlier. I'll just repeat it. It was enough that, like, because our plan was we were going to get paid, because last year the promotion was in like I don't know, right before Thanksgiving. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
I remember. The only thing I remember is the night of cart close, we were at futsal with our daughter, and it was like snowing outside, and I remember being at futsal, like on the phone with you. And so not paying attention, and this ball comes flying at me and nails me in the side of the head. and I like drop the phone, and you're like, hello? Hello? I'm like, sorry, I'm unconscious. Give me a second. And so I still remember. I was like November of last year. So I just assumed we were going to get paid the following year. And so we did our tax projections. We kind of knew how much we were going to make. Our accountant had everything lined up, and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we just got like a $50,000 payment. Does that change anything? He's like, yep, changes a little bit. So let me go rerun the numbers. So I guess what I should say is my accountant thanks you, because he got more business from us last year, in a good way. That was good.
But I think
that.
Something that I wanted to point out, Marisa, you talked about how, this guarantee makes sure that the people that sign up are invested. I think the thing that's important too is that this guarantee means that you're invested in them. And I think so many times, like that's really, that kind of guarantee is very, very rare, because it's scary for product creators, because it's like, what if I don't deliver? What if I can't do it? And I think one of the things that I've seen as I've watched, I've interacted with you, we spent some time together, that's who you are. And I think that's so awesome that you're taking all the risks. Like you said, you don't make the partners pay for that. It's all you. And I think that's really cool. And for somebody looking at a product, I mean, if I was going to invest my money, you're the type of person I would want to invest in because you're invested in me. It's that, like you use the analogy of a marriage. It's both ways, and you're just as invested in your students as you want them to be in you. And I think that is what breeds that success, is that determination of you and your company that we're going to make sure these people are successful come hell or high water. Whatever we have to do, we're going to make it happen. And I think that just speaks to the type of person you are. And, it speaks to the type of product that this is. And I think that's so cool to see in this industry, because there's a lot of people that aren't that way. So.
Totally. And I also have, selfish reason that I share in our sales video is that the success rates are off the charts for this product. So I know that if people sign up for this one and we make it pretty affordable for the level of support that we provide, actually really affordable. I mean, other programs like this would be $5,000, is that they're much more likely to stick with me and want to work with me again. So my selfish reason is if I over deliver and create an incredible experience, then I know that people are way more likely to stick around and keep investing in us.
So what you're telling me is if you help them get what they want, then you can get what you want?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that somewhere before. I'm not sure.
Famous guy said that.
Right.
Was it Ziggy, the cartoon?
Something like that.
You guys remember Ziggy, the cartoon?
No.
Okay. All right. Proof that I grew up in a small town with a small town newspaper. All right, Ziggy was like a comic strip, in the what are those things called? Like the papers where they put the news. What are those called?
I haven't seen one of those. So
yeah. All right. Okay. So a couple more questions, Marisa, real quick. Do you think that, like, I'm thinking about experience products. Do you think that they are, is the dynamic changing with info products and experience products, just products in general, because of the fact that it's 2018 and our attention spans are, sorry, I was distracted. That was a joke. Because our attention spans are so short today, are experience products even more valuable than they were, say, 10 years ago?
Well, if you actually look, the self-paced learning industry, which is traditional information products, has declined for 3 years in a row. And this year it's declined almost 7%. So 7%. Basically, these kinds of products are on the sharp decline. And I've actually seen a lot of my peers in this space who are doing online courses and trainings. Many of their businesses declined this year. Like some of them declined as much as 30 to 50%. And last year, I mean, our business grew 50% last year. I think in 2016, we're at 2.1 million. Last year was 3.1. This year, it looks like we're going to cross the $4 million mark. So every year, because we've been doing this, our business has been defying the industry averages and experiencing huge ups when a lot of our peers are experiencing significant downs.
That's awesome. So Mark, if you have any questions, think those up and you can ask them after this one, because this is my last one. I know enough of our students to know one of the things that's going to go through their minds, because we've talked about this throughout, is like the production value on, your course, on your marketing, on your sales page, on your videos, on your, right down to the PDFs, is, I mean, literally like some of the best that I've seen. It is on par with anything you would expect from like a like $100 million plus company. Okay. And that's great. But I know one of the things that people are thinking is, I can't do that. Like, I'm a solopreneur. I'm a 2-person show, whatever. I don't have an art background. I'm not a documentary filmmaker, like you were. What would you say to somebody who's thinking like, I can't do the level of production that Marisa says, I can't even come close, but I still want to apply these principles. How can they do it?
Well, there's definitely a lot of low-tech, low-fi, no-tech ways to do this as well. So I am, what I teach in the program is an earn while you learn, iterate your way to awesome approach to product creation, where you're actually, you sell the product before you start to deliver the product, and then you deliver the product live at least the first time around. So you can direct collaboration and conversation with your audience. So many people don't do that, and it takes them years longer to make it, and then the thing that they make doesn't ultimately end up being what people need. So if you do that, you're allowing their experience to change the product. So you can mention them, you can integrate their stories, you can kind of address their doubts and challenges along the way, because you're actually crafting the product as they go through it. And when you teach live, the standards for live are very different than the standards for pre-recorded. So here we are acting like a bunch of idiots, because we're live on the line and we can get away with it. But if this were a sales video, like a real sales video, people would be like, what in the world are they doing?
Yep.
So because of that, like, it has a totally different feel. And if you look at like what's popular on YouTube, people like live, they like raw, they like real, they like authentic. I'm just wearing my t-shirt here. I'm not dressed up as like I was in those videos. I'm not the kind of person who has to always, be dressed up and made up and perfect and things like that, because it's good for people to see the different aspects of who I am. And so when someone's in this live experience, they're very forgiving because they care a lot more about how they feel and the connection than all of that. And so and you're going to learn way more. But pre-recording actually takes way longer to create a product doing it that way than this live method of product creation that I teach. And even though it's scary for some people because they want to have all their I's dotted and their T's crossed before they begin and before they sell something, it's just not really super smart or strategic to make something before you sell it, because you don't know how much it's going to sell and you don't know what people are really going to respond to. So this way, product creation ensures that you have a product that meets people's needs versus what you think is going to meet people's needs. And usually the more your level of expertise, the bigger cognitive bias that you have. So you're less and less in touch with people's reality as someone who might be just beginning or who just doesn't understand what you understand. So I find that this is the fastest, easiest way to a product that not only sells great, but also works for the people who buy it. And it's a lot easier than the level of production that I have. Now, this is going to be the third time that I've taught the Experience Product Masterclass. The first time I delivered it all live, every single piece of content, and then just on Zoom, and then posted the recordings on the membership site. Yep. The second one, with it, on the second time, I pre-recorded everything, but I had the insight of knowing how people responded and things like that. So once I understood that, I knew how to shift and change the program to make it even better. Now, the third time around, I watched everyone go through the pre-recorded one. Of course, they still had access to live group coaching calls 3 times a week, and I'm making some changes and pivots still to get closer to the live experience and to make it an even better pre-recorded experience. So every single time, I iterate a core piece of the program.
That's awesome. I will just say that, like, I wish we had done that with our flagship course, and now we're doing it with all the courses. All of our courses. We did it with our first course, 7-figure affiliate launch. We did it with list launch, and the beauty of that is, like, I had enough people go through that, Mark. I mean, I know you would agree. There's probably not a single thing we won't cover in the produced version of that course, because we went through live, teaching people, and they're asking questions, and they're, one of the things that, like, Mark's really good at is when I would say something, when I would kind of use lingo, he would immediately interrupt and go, explain that. Or I guarantee you there are people on this call who do not know what that means, And it was like when I would say lookalike audience, and he's like, nope, you need to explain lookalike audience. Like,
totally.
Okay. And I get frustrated with him. Sometimes I'm like, gosh, do I have to? I just want to say that and move on. He's like, no, you're the expert. You got to kind of, explain things. And now we're going to have an amazing course that'll be like totally, and that one will be our first 100% EPM, like to the max course. Like, we've held off I told Mark, it's ready to go. The slides are done. All I got to do is stand behind a microphone, or, I got to stand in the studio for about an hour, read some stuff off a teleprompter, go stand in front of a mic for 12 hours. And that course is done. Like, it's super easy to do. I was like, dude, I don't want to do that until after the next round of EPM. Like, I want to go through and learn all the stuff that you learned, but then some more stuff, and just see this whole thing in action. So I'm just going to encourage you guys, like, we're going to be going through EPM here. It starts, like, as we're recording this, it starts in like 10 days, like, woo. Finally, I get to go through it, because then I can actually release some courses, more courses. So go through it with us. Go through it with us. And one of the bonuses we have not announced yet, you cannot find this anywhere, that I'm saying for the first time on this magical internet screen right now.
Mark's writing things down, so he knows.
What's that?
Mark's writing things down, so he knows.
No, the magical internet screen. I just made up a new term. on here is that we're going to go, like I said, we're going to go through the course with you. And what we're going to do is during the 10 core weeks of EPM, like Marisa said, some people like 42 weeks later, they were still going through it, and that's totally cool. And they were still getting benefit from it. In those core 10 weeks, we're going to do 5 live calls. So every 2 weeks, and we're going to just share with you what we're learning, how we're applying it, take your questions, even though Marisa and her team are going to be amazing and take a million questions from you. Sometimes you just want to ask somebody else, and there's benefit to that. So we're going to share our notes with you, how we're implementing it, how we're going to implement it, and all that stuff. So that's 5 bonus calls during the 10 weeks, which is going to be amazing. We're not sure of when those live calls will be, for one big reason. That's that I'm going to be on an anniversary trip. So they might not be exactly spaced out 2 weeks apart, but because I want to be on live with you guys. So just wanted to let you guys know that. So click the button below and get it. Mark, any last questions for Marisa?
I think the only thing I would ask you, Marisa, is if there was one thing that you wanted anybody watching to know about Experience Product Masterclass, what would it be?
That's a great question. Well, I will say it's going to be, and I know you don't know until you go through it, it's going to be unlike anything you've ever experienced when it comes to an online training course or learning process. And if you want to deliver this kind of experience for someone else, you can't really deliver it until you've experienced it for yourself. Because it's one thing about intellectually knowing this, but what we do here, it's a teach by example. It's like you're learning as you're doing process, which is one of the best ways to learn. So you're watching the experientification at work on you as you're creating experientification for somebody else. And what I found is that whenever you're experiencing something so directly as you apply it, it's one of the fastest, easiest ways to learn and get a result. So it's super fun. We do a lot of kind of wild and crazy things. And I promise you it's going to be an unforgettable experience. And the truth is, last year, out of 500 students, 45% hit mission accomplished in the 10 weeks of the program, which is insane. 65% finished the core curriculum, and over 90%, like 92% engaged with this program. Wow. So the proof is in the pudding, and we've had people make up to $250,000. Now, I can't promise you're going to make $250,000, but we've had people make a lot of money in this program because these programs work, and beyond making money, they're having a completely different response from their students, clients, and customers. And that makes it so much more worthwhile and fun and engaging. And we only do this once a year. So because it's our flagship experience product, we have not evergreen this. It's not available any other time. You either get in and do it this year or you can't. And ultimately, it also means that you're going to be launching products in January. And January is all time, hands down, the best time to launch. So it really, it's when people are excited and ready to change their lives and actually have momentum and enthusiasm for big projects and things like that. So, yeah.
Well, I love it, guys. This, like Marisa said, this is not false scarcity. It's a 10-week course. And I mean, maybe if she really stretched herself, she could do this twice a year, but she's not. So it's 10 weeks where her and her team are like 100% in with her students. So it's not false scarcity to say, like, literally when the door shuts, like, you cannot get in and join. And she wouldn't want you to join 2 weeks in because you'd miss out on 20% of it. So if you're watching this, there'll be a countdown timer to when she shuts registration down. Don't wait till the last second. Don't wait for anything to happen. Don't wait for your internet to not suddenly work or your card to not work. Get in early. There's some cool stuff I know because she's taught us some of this, that even if you're joining 4 days before the official class starts, there's still some experientification there. And again, that's in her best interest. She doesn't want you to return the course 2 days later.
You can't anyway, so.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? She doesn't want you to give up 2 days into it, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
And it is actually better to buy it earlier because you actually get in and you get to some of the, bonus pre-training modules as well.
Yeah.
And just get a head start on everything. Plus, the earlier you join, the more likely you are to get all future bonuses that are released, So if you join.
There was a lot of bonuses last year.
Yeah, totally.
There's a lot. So guys, just go do it. Like she said, no risk at all, because if you only make $1,100, you're going to get a check for $900. But If you make $200, you're going to check for $1,800. But if you hit that 2,000, here's what I can promise you. That would be the hardest $2,000 you've ever made. And I mean that in a good way, because the next 2,000 and the 10,000 and 20,000 and 100,000 after will be so much easier. It always is. Every business I've ever started, the first couple $1,000 are by far, they're like 100 times harder than the next 100,000. It's just the way life works. So go grab it, click the button below. And Marisa, thank you so much. Thank you. This has been awesome.
Sure thing. Thank you. You all rock.
And Mark, thank you, bud.
Thanks.